The comments on this video have got me absolutely decked. I'll show some of them in a moment, but for clarity, this is an open and shut case liability wise. As there's no junctions to the offside that the car driver could be accessing, this is a simple case of a vehicle executing a manoeuvre without checking it was safe and clear to do so. So the car driver will be found completely responsible for the collision. No ifs, buts or maybes, and certainly no victim blaming contrarian for sake of being contrarian internet comments will change that. Now on to some of those comments. To be fair, the biker was in the hashed area. Well, to be fair, that's as relevant as the price of fish down at North Shields Fish Quay, but I will clear up the hatched markings later in the video. Both are in the wrong. You shouldn't be filtering on those line markings, and neither should the car be making a U-turn. Again, those hashed markings are completely irrelevant, but this is where internet thoughts and feelings hits reality. The motorcycle can filter there, and the car driver can execute a turn in the road there if they so wish to do so, as the hatched area is not bordered by a solid line. Last comment before I clear up liability. Both are wrong. Unfortunately, good luck sorting it out though, as neither are insured in the area of contact. What in the flying fuck has to be wrong with someone's brain function to think that driving in hatched markings would make your insurance invalidated and wouldn't cover a collision? So, the liability. A car turns right to do a U-turn and collides with the motorcyclist passing them on their offside in a hatched area, sometimes referred to as chevrons, with a broken boundary line. There is no grey area here. The car driver has executed a U-turn manoeuvre without checking it was safe and clear to do so. If they'd done the mirror and over the shoulder check as they're supposed to do, they'd have seen the motorcyclist and not executed the manoeuvre. It's as simple as that, and that's why liability goes directly to them. As for both of them using the hatched area to do a U-turn and a filter, this is irrelevant to the liability aspect, and it would be irrelevant if it was bordered by a solid line also. But many seem to be over fixated on these hatch markings when there's nothing preventing either of the road users from crossing into the hatched markings if using that area was necessary for them to execute what they were doing and it was safe for them to do so. Would it be necessary to enter that area if you wanted to do a turn in the road and go back the way that you'd came? Yes. Is it unsafe for them to use that area? No, unless of course they haven't checked for filtering motorcyclists. For the motorcycle, is using the hatched area necessary to be able to progress down the road by filtering? Yes. Is it unsafe for them to use that area? No, unless of course a car turns right across their path without checking it's safe and clear to do so. If the hatched markings were bordered by a solid line, then neither of them would be able to use that area unless it was for an emergency. But again, it would be irrelevant to liability. But if you still think using the hatched area is such a big issue, what acts would you class as necessary and what acts would you class as an emergency? Ultimately, the hatched markings are irrelevant to the liability. The car driver turned right into the path of a motorcyclist that was making its own lane by filtering on the offside, and that's why they are completely responsible. Now, in terms of what the motorcycle rider could do differently, well, they could potentially be going a little bit slower whilst filtering given the slow moving traffic. However, I don't think that they were travelling at any great speed here. You have to remember that wide angle cameras such as this make things look a lot faster than they actually are. Of course, it's always better to be alive rather than in the right but not able to ride a motorcycle again, so there are always learnings that everybody can take away from this situation. But as my niche is liability, this one is nice and simple and very clear. The car driver is responsible. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound.